Have you ever been to an NBA game? Better question, have you ever been to an NBA game where you got a media credential pass to film some NBA team related footage in an empty NBA team arena where once you were done filming said footage for the corresponding NBA related team media stuff, you then got to watch said NBA team play against another NBA team in a now packed out NBA arena in Minnesota? Earlier this summer, I got to go watch a Minnesota Timberwolves game, but I didn't just get to watch the game. I also got to film some stuff because I'm a videographer, which, by the way, if you don't know, hi, my name is Jacob. I'm a filmmaker, and every week for the next year, I'm putting something out on this series I call the bucket list, where I do something every single week that I've always wanted to do, and I cross another thing off my bucket list. This week in particular, I went to the Minnesota Timberwolves game and watched them play against the Pistons, which was pretty awesome. I haven't really watched basketball or played basketball in a long time because of a really traumatic incident that happened a long time ago, which I'll tell you about. When I was in middle school, I tried out for the middle school basketball team. It was my first time ever trying out for sports. It was between me and one other kid. He had played the season prior, and the coach was looking at both of us as potential point guards. And then the coach said, you know what? Let's give this kid a shot. So for the whole rest of that season, I was committed to becoming the best point guard that I could be. And shocker, I was an absolutely horrendous point guard. For starters, I was really slow. I was like big back on the court, couldn't dribble for shit. And on top of not being able to sink a three-pointer, I also could barely make a layup. I was pretty much a bench warmer the whole time. But our team did pretty well throughout the whole season until the very last game of the season. So it comes down to the last 3 minutes of the game. Everybody's super amped up. You know, this is the big moment. Like, we're probably gonna go to state. You know, we're neck and neck with this other team and we could definitely beat them. Coach takes me off the bench and puts me in the game. And then suddenly I get the ball passed to me and the hoop is right here. And in my head, I'm like, this is my moment. This is my moment. So I close my eyes and I have the ball in my hands, and with all of my strength, I turn, I shoot the ball, I'm like, ugh. Once I open my eyes, I'm thinking it's gonna go in. And that is not what happened. The ball hits the rim, gets into the other guy's hands, he runs it all the way down the court, they put it in, and then they run the clock out. And that was game point. Essentially what I'm saying is I threw the game for the whole team. We didn't go to state. I threw the championship game for the entire team in middle school. And since then, I retired my career as a point guard. It's a really sad story. It's really tragic. So since then, my career in basketball has just been kind of on the ropes, you know, but I've always wanted to go to a basketball game. And luckily, this opportunity came up for me to go out and film some stuff at the Minnesota Timberwolves arena, but also I would get to watch the basketball game. You're probably asking yourself, like, Jacob, how, you know, what, do you just get these opportunities dropped out of the air? No, actually 90% of them come from my job. So when I first came on, I packed a bag and I flew out to Minnesota, and I'd never been to Minnesota before. So this was actually a really cool experience, getting to see the city, getting to explore it. I like the cold kind of weather, you know, in the city. It felt kind of familiar, and I really liked being in Minnesota. But going to the arena, oh man, brother, let me tell you. The Target Center Arena is one of the oldest standing arenas in the US. I'm like 90% certain that's a fact. Open to being fact checked on that though, but I'm like 90% certain that was part of the history that we learned about it. And it's really cool when you get to like wander the halls of an empty, you know, basketball arena and like film stuff. And I got to film some footage of the Minnesota Timberwolves players in the arena while they were practicing. But I'll be honest, I didn't know any of the lore about the Minnesota Timberwolves players. And before I went on this trip, my brother told me, he said, oh, you're going to film for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Watch out for Ant-Man. And I was like, Ant-Man? I was like, were you talking about Paul Rudd? Like Ant-Man? In Marvel Ant-Man? And he goes, no, watch out for the guy named Ant-Man. And I'm like, okay. So there's all this talk about, You know, Ant-Man, who is this guy? When the game started that night, the Timberwolves were getting absolutely taken to the cleaners by the Pistons. As soon as halftime came around, though, they put somebody in, and when that guy came out on the court, he's sinking three-pointer, 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 layup, three-pointer, 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 another layup, three-pointer, jump shot, three-pointer. Like, I'm thinking to myself, oh, that's Ant-Man. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Okay, that's who Ant-Man is. And when they put Ant-Man in, yeah, they came back and they won that game, which once they put him in, I was like really into it because I was like on the edge of my seat and just watching this, you know, super athlete go on the court and absolutely school everyone else, which is crazy levels of dominance. And as somebody who doesn't watch a lot of basketball, you know, that's pretty cool to see. I mean, for all of the things that I've gotten to do, you know, watching players in like NASCAR and the UFC and the NBA recently, sometimes I have to think to myself, I'm like, I'm probably watching some of the best players and athletes across pro sports in their respective sports in the time periods that they're in their prime, which is crazy, you know? Like, how lucky am I that I get to witness that, you know? We'll be talking about this stuff like 20, 30 years down the road, and they'll be like, you know, did you see Anthony Edwards play? I'll be like, I saw Anthony Edwards play. You'd be like, you see Ilya Taporia fight? I'd be like, I saw Ilya Taporia fight. It's like, this is, you know, this is the best time to be alive. But I'm happy I also kept this stuff too. I gotta get this framed at some point. I got so many memories and I gotta get them framed, you know? I want a wall. I want a wall in my house at some point that's like got pieces of memorabilia from places that I went, things that I did, you know, just for the memories, you know? Because I'm very sentimental in that way. It means a lot to me being able to do these things and go to these places. So NBA game, scratch that off the bucket list. If you like more stories like this though, or if you want to see more things that I cross off my bucket list, then please consider subscribing and sharing this video, commenting down below, liking the video. I would appreciate you so much if you did. And there's more videos like this on the way. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go work on something else, go cross something else off my bucket list, and I will see you next week. All right, bye.